Star Wars Attack of the Clones Episode 2 is the next one in this sequence of videos I am doing revolving around taking a look back at the Star Wars films as we go through the Christmas festive period. I always rewatch these around this time, so I thought bring you guys along like I had said in the last episode that we had of Episode 1, Phantom Menace. Now we're going to look at this one. Now, has my views changed on this movie? We're going to talk about it. There's a lot to talk about with this movie, so let me know your thoughts down below. Smash that like button for me and click subscribe as well. And without further ado, let's get into our discussion of Attack of the Clones. Okay, so the sequel to A Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. Here we go. So this one is a time skip from the first movie. So it's about a 10-year time skip, roughly around there. So we see Anakin all grown up. He is now a Padawan. He is in the Jedi Order. We have no longer seen young Anakin Skywalker as a kid anymore. So this is 10-year period, moved on. Padme and Anakin haven't seen each other for that long. So this movie, look, we know the first one, The Phantom Menace, was a bit of a uppy and downy for some people, like 50-50, really. Some people absolutely love it, some people hate it, some people think it's underrated, some people think it deserves what it gets. So then we move into the Attack of the Clones, the second one. This one is actually, 2.5 hours long? Yeah, this one's 2.5 hours long. What the fuck? I don't know how this is 2.5 hours long and Revenge of the Sith is only 2 hours. I will never get past. I will never get past that. So when we look at this film, we start off with this beautiful opening sequence of Padme being assassinated, like the attempt on her life where her ship blows up and her actual bodyguard, stunt double gets killed because she's flying in the Naboo starfighter and to avoid all this. So we see that she's in a lot of trouble now. So this is where we get to see Anakin and Obi Wan. Anakin full grown up. He's already stressed because he's never seen Padme. He's obviously had this fantasy about Padme from the first day he met her. He just fell in love with her straight away. So we see this progression of this character in Anakin Skywalker over the years, dealing with him becoming a Jedi, still having these feelings, still having these thoughts about Padme. And that's where we see it, where he's sweating, he's panicking, he's like, I haven't seen her in 10 years, Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan's sitting there like, yo, you just need to chill out, man. We're here to do a job. We're here to look after and make sure that she's protected. So we really start to engage the whole relationship here of Anakin and Padme. In this first instance, when they meet each other, she realizes, oh, that's Anakin there. And Anakin takes it upon himself to be like, hey, she doesn't even notice me. Did you see the way that she looked at me? She doesn't even care for me or anything like that. I haven't seen her for 10 years. So this guy's already hooked on her. He's absolutely head over heels for her. So when we're dealing with that relationship, some people do have issues with this relationship with Anakin and Padme. And I totally understand where they're coming from. Because this movie deals with this, building this relationship. Because coming into Revenge of the Sith is when it really, I feel like the Padme Anakin relationship is actually at its peak and its best is in Revenge of the Sith. Here, it does feel very rushed. I must say, their relationship feels so rushed. They just met each other for another 10 years. Obviously, Anakin is head over heels for her. That's understandable. When he was a kid, absolutely liked her. But there's no way that Padme had any affection in a loving, romantic way towards Anakin as a child. It's not on. So for me to understand that these two are going to get together and fall in love so quickly, I have to kind of believe that Padme, seeing Anakin all grown up, is falling in love with him straight away. Just seeing him. And I don't buy that. I really don't. And you watch their journey as they have this relationship. I think the whole point of being on Naboo works with their character, where Anakin becomes her bodyguard and he's in Naboo with her, having that one-on-one time. That I can understand where they start to develop feelings for each other. I get all that. But again, it still feels a bit rushed for me. I feel like these are two characters that haven't seen each other for 10 years and they just get it on like that straight away. They're just romantically interested. We know Anakin has these feelings for her. We already knew that in The Phantom Menace. We knew that he said that because he couldn't believe how beautiful she was. But I just never fully grasped that Padme fell in love with him that quick. And then the whole factory sequence happens, and then we come into the gladiator battle where she admits that she loves Anakin, and then they get married at the end. So this all happens in such a quick span of time. I would estimate that probably the rough time span between Anakin becoming her bodyguard and them getting married is probably, what, couple of weeks, if that? So it is very rapid and very quick fire for them to just fall in love and end up getting married at the end. So for me, the relationship wasn't quite there. It didn't have enough time to breathe. And this is where some people have a criticism of The Phantom Menace is maybe this should have been the first movie. Maybe this could have been the first one where you have Attack of the Clones as the first whole one of the original trilogy. I mean, not the original, the prequel trilogy. You have this one, and then you can build upon that. You have an extra movie in there to build upon this relationship. You can stretch it out, and you can make them fall in love naturally. Here, I never bought it. So for me, a flaw is the relationship between Padme and Anakin, and just how quickly they develop the feelings and how quickly they get married. I'm not a huge fan of it. Other things in here that I'm not a huge fan of is, I must say, the dialogue in here is absolutely atrocious. Like, there is so many scenes where you just kind of like, that is just cringe dialogue. It just does not work. And I don't know what they were trying to do with the dialogue in this movie. It just, I don't know. It felt very cheesy. And it takes me out in certain scenes as well. And I'm kind of like, oh, why did you have to do that? Why did you have to do that? The final battle itself with Yoda and Count Dooku, I do feel like the Count Dooku versus Anakin, Obi Wan, and Yoda sort of battle is very lackluster. It doesn't really, when you go from Duel of the Fates, you go from that with freaking Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi Wan, you go from that to this. This just was just like, the way that it's edited and chopped up, I don't like it, and it's so hard to see what is actually going on, especially when you have Yoda jumping around everywhere. You're kind of like trying to figure out, what the hell? I can't see what's going on, and you just see red and green all the time just hitting each other. It's like, come on, like, give me something better. And then when you get to the Obi-Wan and, Count Dooku fight, that's okay, but then it's the Anakin one, when Anakin's fighting Count Dooku, and I'm kind of like, what? And especially when he gets his arm chopped off, it's so, like, obvious. It's not even natural. It doesn't even feel like, I'm like, he's just gone bam and then holds his arm out, and it's like a 3-second delay and then chop. And I'm kind of like, come on, you could have done that a bit better. So I have issues with the final battle as well. Jango Fett, I feel like, is massively I can't even speak right now. Is massively underutilized in this film. I feel like you have such a cool character in Jango Fett. He's one of my favorites, and I absolutely love him. But I just feel like we never got enough screen time with him to develop him as a character, to make me really care for. I really feel like you could take Jango Fett out of this movie and it still runs fine. It still runs the exact same. He's not a huge player in here, and it's based. What I really feel like is Jango Fett's put in here to give us a origin story for Boba Fett. That's really what it feels like. It feels like Boba Fett's actual origin story is just here, and that's why they put Jango Fett in there. But I feel like they could have really expanded upon him and made him a bit more of a focal point, and they killed him so quickly and so early, and I'm kind of like, well, there goes Jango Fett, eh? I guess, what was the point of him being in there? But there is things in here that I do like. Like, I do like the whole Anakin little crumbs here and there of him starting to drift into the dark side. Like, some people do say Anakin's turn to the dark side is really quick. I don't believe that. I think the way that he does turn to the dark side, it's actually done quite well. And we see it in here, and we see it with his mother first, where he starts to feel like, holy shit, like, I'm about to lose my mother. Like, I need to go find her. He's having dreams and visions. So we're already getting the stuff implanted here, the seeds, to tell us Anakin's going down this dark path. Like, he is starting to feel the emotions. He's starting to feel everything that is towards the dark side of the Force. And we see that when he goes and interacts with the Sand People after he finds his mother and his mother dies in his arms. We see that look in his face. We see how angry he is. And he does just absolutely slaughter everyone. And another point that brings me to the relationship of Padme and Anakin is when Anakin is telling Padme about what he did to the Sand People, and he's telling her, like, I slaughtered them like animals, not just the men, the women, and the children. Like, I mean, come on, Padme, that's kind of a bit of a red flag there. Like, this guy's just admitted to killing kids and women, like, just slaughtering them like animals. Like, come on, man, you kind of gotta, you know, that's a bit of a red flag there. So that's another thing for the relationship where I'm kind of like, oh, Padme, you're older than this. You're more mature. You should be able to sense these things. But I do like the Anakin turn, and it does fit. I still do think at the end there, when they're having the fight with Count Dooku, where he just runs off. I mean, that didn't sit well with me either. So you have that. The Geonosis stuff where the factory sequence is absolutely fantastic. I love that factory sequence. I think that's all great. Have no problems with that. Thought it was shot well. I like the idea of taking Anakin's lightsaber out of his hand so that way he can be captured. And then you have the whole Battle of Geonosis in there. Like, I like that sequence. I think that's really, really cool. The monsters look really, really cool. The monster creatures, they are great designs. That is fantastic. Loved all that. The visual effects as well looked really well for those. Like, it just was stunning. I must say that. Mace Windu's cool. I still would like to see a bit more Mace Windu in the Star Wars franchise, but we're obviously never going to get that. But I do feel like he could have been utilized a lot more in this movie, and I like him in here. Like, his role that he plays is fantastic as well. The whole first bit of the sequence chase where they are chasing in the speeders and stuff like that, that is shot well. It looks gorgeous as well. I enjoyed that as well. But overall, look, I feel like this movie can be a tad too long. I don't know why it's 2.5 hours. You could have chopped a lot out of here and made it 2 hours easily, and it probably would have run a lot better. Still think the dialogue's not the greatest. You know, the relationship between Padme and Anakin, I still am not on board with. The relationship with Obi Wan and Anakin, we're starting to see this relationship build, and it's like a brother relationship, and you see that in Geonosis when they're trapped, and then Obi Wan's like, yo, what are you doing here, basically? And then Anakin's like, oh, well, we came to rescue, and he's like, well, that's going well, isn't it? Like, that's such a typical brother response to do that. Be like, yo, well, look, you tried to do it. Look where we are now. We're both trapped here. So I like their relationship. I like the idea of Count Dooku as well. I think he's great. I still feel like Count Dooku's one of the most, like, misused characters in the Star Wars thing. I think Tales did a fantastic job. Tales of the Jedi did a fantastic job expounding upon that character and makes you want to see more and understand more. Why did he turn to the dark side of the Force? Like, what was the initial thing that made him turn? And we see that in Tales, and that's what I loved. And I feel like we needed that here for Count Dooku as well, to give us a reason to why he is actually on the dark side of the Force. But overall, look, I think this is definitely one of the weaker Star Wars films. I definitely think it's weaker than The Phantom Menace. Some people may not agree with that. It is what it is. That's just my opinion. I feel like this is a weak one. It's got weak dialogue. Some of the visual effects are good. Some of them, not so good. Then you've got a decent enough story. The pacing could be an issue. The relationship between Padme and Anakin is a bit rocky for me as well. But overall, look, it is what it is. My views on it haven't really changed much on this one. This one I still feel like is definitely one of the weaker ones and down the bottom. So let me know what you think of Attack of the Clones. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Smash it down in the comment section below. Smash that like button for me and click subscribe as well. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe. Peace out.